Alright, productizers. Hopefully by now you should have a name for your company, which we did in the last lesson, so now it's time to brand it. Branding is something that I think often gets overlooked. In fact, I would say that was a shortcoming of ours with JurisPage. However, it's hard to change branding when you get further down the road. And so that's why I think it's important that we spend some time discussing branding and going over what I would do if I was going to start all over again. So first, let's look at some examples of branding done right. And I think AppSumo is a great place to start. They fully commit to the brand and their theme. So if you subscribe to AppSumo, I'm sure one of the first things that you think of when you hear the name is the sumo wrestler and tacos. And their website copy and iconography consistently uses this comical personality to connect with their email list, which they call Sumolings. Even the reviews give a score out of 5 tacos rather than 5 stars. So if you see when we scroll down here, this particular deal has a rating of 5 tacos, which is 5 stars. And also in their sales copy, they include a lot of different like funny images, like meme images. You can see even their pop-ups integrate their branding in the messaging. So right here it says already a Sumoling, which is what they call their subscribers. So AppSumo is a very good example of strong branding. The second example of great branding is Groove. So Groove is a perfect example of culture as branding. And so yes, they have consistent style in their imagery. They typically use a lot of beach themes in their imagery, as you can see in their little logo icon right here with the shell. But all of their content and messaging center around transparency and helping and kind of breeziness, which is great for a help desk app. My personal favorite part of their site is the blog, where they talk about their journey from $0 to $500,000 in monthly revenue. So yeah, they're doing pretty well. If we go see their startup journey right now, again, you can see kind of the beachy imagery here. And if we go down, oh, here we go. Revenue went up to $395K. And then if we go to an individual post, we can see at the bottom of the post here, they have their sign up form. Where is it? Here we go. So this is their opt-in form to subscribe to the blog, and it's probably one of the most effective opt-in forms that I've seen for blog subscription. Usually those aren't all that compelling, but this is a really good call to action here. And again, it has their updated monthly revenue. But this is just part of their brand of openness and transparency, and I think it's really effective, especially for a help desk app. So the last example that I want to go through is a company called Sidewayseight, and they're a web agency that I think really nails their branding. So Sidewayseight is a company run by a friend of mine, and I really love the branding that he does. His site focuses on building trust and a very warm and positive vibe. They talk about values, helping, focus on the team. Everything that they do on their site works really well to tear down the walls that someone might have when hiring a web design agency. We're going to be building your agency's marketing site very soon, so I would definitely take some time to read through this site, as I think it's a great model as far as branding is concerned. And this page in particular, the We Believe In page, so this is kind of their core values page, and I think that it really helps kind of humanize the company and makes people want to work with Sidewayseight, just because they can see that there's a warm body behind the face of the company. Now here's an opt-in form on Sidewayseight, and you can see here there is no branding in this opt-in form like we saw in the AppSumo opt-in form. So this is probably an area where Sidewayseight can improve their branding. There's also a not so compelling call to action. So if they integrated their brand of trustworthiness and warm and positive vibe into this call to action, they might see better conversions. So we just went over 3 great branding examples that really showed how to brand using consistent imagery and personality, but colors also play an important role. Colors say a lot about your brand, and it's important to have consistency between the colors that you use and the content and personality of your site. For example, you don't want to use a cutting-edge color scheme and then try to create an approachable or down-to-earth brand personality. So if the Groove company that we saw a few slides ago was to use a color scheme like this, then it would conflict with their more approachable and friendly brand personality, but instead they use this kind of approachable color scheme. So these concepts are also great to keep in mind when you're designing client sites. Depending on how the client wants to present his or her company, an effective color scheme can really set the company apart. And as far as logos go, there's nothing wrong with a pure text logo, but if you want to quickly design a logo with an icon, you can try logomaker.com. So going back to our web design agency for food trucks example, if we type in something like food, we get a bunch of different icons that we could use, and we'll just use something like this. And make it orange, a little bit smaller, and so there we have a really quick logo. As usual, we have a worksheet to help you figure out a branding position for your company. So download it from productized.com/DL and open it up. This is what the branding worksheet should look like. So the first part here is the tone, and I suggest selecting about 3 of these tones to use max. 1 or 2 is fine, but if you want to choose up to 3, you can do that. Then there are some questions to answer about your brand's personality and values, what imagery you want to use, and then finally you choose a color scheme, and I would refer back to the section on colors to figure out an appropriate color scheme given your tone and values. So hopefully that lesson helped you figure out how you'd like to brand your web design company, and we'll see you in the next lesson where we'll go over the Offsprout platform, which we'll use to build your web design company's website.